What's going on, guys? Big Jim here, Sharp Obsession. We got a new one in for sharpening. This is a Microtech. As you can see, the Combat Troodon. Had somebody send this in wanting a new edge on it. Now this is a Tonto, so this will require a little bit of different sharpening because you have to treat these two differently. This has to be its own edge, and then this has to be an edge. And let's see how sharp it is now. See if I got something to cut. I'm gonna drop everything over there. Let's see how sharp it is currently. A little bit, not super sharp. So going to run through most of this, really just trying to prep, just kind of let you all kind of watch and follow along in the process. So good thing about these Combat Troodons is they have a really nice sharpening tool, so I don't have to worry too much about a smile there, so that is a help. Biggest thing is trying to get the angle correct with this fuller, trying to make sure it's sitting flat on my machine. So, but first thing we're going to do is actually we're going to do some prep work. So as you follow along, just you can just watch while I'm doing my prepping. Not going to do a ton of talking today. Just going to focus on this. Definitely don't want the stones to get up on any of this. And make sure it's well protected. And since this is not my knife, I want to make sure to be extra protected for all of these pieces. Just to make sure that we don't have a slip up. Get into something that we don't want to get into. Like that. These can be a little bit complicated. This is part of the process, though, is just getting everything taped up good, because last thing you want is to slip and cause a issue. So certainly do want to make sure we're protected. Like I said, and this is not my knife, so I'll make sure we're doing everything we can. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, I do have a TS Prof Cadet. In addition to that, I'm going to add a piece of felt up here just to make sure that all of these pieces are lined up correctly. I'm going to start with that front piece first. Like I said, you got to treat these as two different edges. You got to sharpen this edge first, and then you got to sharpen this edge. So it takes a little bit of more work for these, but that is a very small edge. So first thing we need to do is try to find the angle that is our current angle. Let's see. Sharpie. I should have a Sharpie here somewhere. There we go. I may take it down just a hair from the original, but not very far. I use the Axicube to find my angles for this machine. Works pretty well. I start off with about 22. Really close to 22. 22. Okay, that looks pretty good. I actually want to get my headlamp on. Vision ain't what it used to be. Not sure what that did for you all, and it helps me. Pretty good. check the angle on this side, make sure they're close. Really close. So good. Yeah. Looks really nice. And I am using the Hapstone CBN stones, the premium CBNs. Really like these stones. Worst thing you can do is come off the edge and kill this tip. So we don't want to do that. Okay. These stones are very aggressive in the lower grits. This is an 80, so it don't take a whole lot when you're running close to the factory angles. So you really do not want to bear down on this stone. You want these bevels to be as close as you can get them, because if you push down, that changes the angle. So you really just want it to kind of glide along. Make sure you don't come off the edge. Check for the burr. Have a nice burr. These knives are not cheap by no means. So steel is really nice steel. Bevel looks nice. Already pretty sharp. That's what you want. You want to do the majority of your sharpening with your lower stone grits, because the upper grits you'll work yourself into a frenzy trying to work through the progression. If you don't do the majority of your work with your lower grit stone. So if your edge is not sharp on the current stone that you're on, then you need to back up a stone and start over, because the finer the grit is not going to make it. It's just going to continue to refine that edge, but it will not make it sharp. And do a lot of cutting with these finer stones. Now this is a 150. Still cuts pretty good with a 150. A lot of people start with a 150, but when if I know exactly what my edge is, and I'm going back, say it's one that I've sharpened before, and I know what edge that it should be at, I'd start at maybe a 400. But when you're having to redo all your angles, then it is so much better to see, that's already very sharp at 150. This is going to go pretty good, I think, at least with this one. It is a very small edge, so it shouldn't take very long. For this tinto portion. Now these blades, these type of blades are a little more difficult because you do have two edges. But and for the most part, I just do satin edges. I don't try to do mirrors. Mirrors can be very difficult to obtain, and definitely is not something that I prefer to do at this point. Maybe after some years, some different equipment, best I can do now is kind of a satin mirror. So getting there quickly. Yeah. One of the hardest things to get correct is that tip. Make sure that tip looks nice. Don't have any shadows on it. Let's see. One second. Yeah, very sharp. So I'll typically take these up to about 800. The higher grits doesn't, for me, has not proven to be better cutters. Yeah, that's pretty sharp. It's already hair shaving sharp, so that's good. We'll go to 800, and then we'll switch to the other side. Pretty good. I like that 800 satin. You're still going to see the micro scratches, but looks really good. Really sharp. Good. Okay. I'll set the angle guide here for my strop. And when stropping here with the diamond paste, you can only go one direction. If you go the other direction, it'll cut your leather. Oh my. Yep. That's good. Alright. We will transfer this over to the other side. So, back in just a second. Alright guys, we're back for the second portion of this. We have got it set in the clamps, set at 22 degrees again, and making sure that we can get to all the parts of this, and seem to be able to. Looks pretty good. Angle looks great. Yeah. Check the other side. Yeah, that looks good. Alright. Bring this in a little. Went back to the 80 grit stone. Gonna do some work. Biggest piece is making sure you get your heels good. Nice transition here. it back to 22 degrees like we did on the Tonto portion. Makes it easy if you kind of do it all the same. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. On some of the, especially the Tontos, some of them is thicker on the tips. They do that for strength on the tips, so you have to run them at a higher angle to get a decent bevel. But seems that these are pretty close. These 80 grit stones are really aggressive. So, does a lot of cutting. Don't know why these tips, probably. That angle guy that just wants to squeak. These are really nice knives from Tech. They are really nice. The main thing with this transition here is your stone will flow off of this bevel, but you have to run it all the way up to that angle right there to make that sharp, right there at that transition. So your stone is actually going to go past the edge of that bevel, but that's okay because it won't hit that side of the blade because it goes in the other direction. So. Main thing is making sure that you keep that stone perfectly flat. Keep it perfectly flat so that you don't get back into that and make all this ugly, because you want really nice crisp transitions here between this angle and this angle. You want those to be really crisp. Oh yeah, really nice. Tech does a pretty good job on their heat treat on this model. I've heard some stories, but this one certainly is not soft and mushy, and you can feel it when it is soft. You have a really hard time sharpening soft knives with soft steel, because you really can't feel any of this. And you don't have good heat treat. Getting pretty close to changing stones now. Oh yeah. Won't be a fairly long video. I apologize. But hang in there with me. this far, and you're probably one of my peeps, because most people won't watch to this point. I actually love sharpening videos. It's relaxing. Go ahead and transition to that 150 stone here in a second. Yeah. Plenty sharp. This is my 150 CBN, and these stones have changed my sharpening tremendously. That, and of course the TS Prof. The diamonds are not bad, but they are not what these Hapstone CBNs are, and it is so much easier to get a really nice edge. They come really flat from the factory when you get them, and right straight out of the gate you can really make some nice edges. And that is, you make something easy and it makes it fun for everybody. So you want to put some nice edges on stuff. I recommend TS Prof, and I also recommend these Hapstone CBN stones. Now they do make different kinds of stones, Beneve, and there's a couple more brands out there that's really good. But now be forewarned, they do not give these things away. They are very proud of them, but hopefully these stones will last long enough for me, all the sharpening I do, and able to pass it along to my children. Because there's a lot of life and a lot of stone here, so as you can see, kind of one of those things. I like one and done. I like to purchase something that's nice and you have no regrets. If you try to start with something cheap, you will not be satisfied, and usually you're just throwing away money until you get what you're looking for anyway. So a lot of people will disagree with that theory, but it's been my experience that I usually end up going back and getting what I should have bought in the first place. Feels pretty sharp. We will make sure to do a really good job since this is a customer. Make sure that everybody's happy. really good. Let's go on to our 400. Big difference in the 400 stone and the 150. I've heard a lot of people tell me they'll go straight from a 150 to like an 800. It leaves a little bit of bite in the edge. And it's good to have a little bit of bite sometimes according to what you're using it for. If you're cutting things like rope or something that's really difficult to get through, if you're using it for safety purposes, wanting to cut seat belt or something, obviously you would almost want to get a serrated blade at that point, but make sure that transition looks really good, and it does. Yeah, that looks nice, feels nice. Make sure you're blending all of these edges in. Really pretty. You want it to look good, you put a lot of work and effort into making sure this looks good. You want to make sure that it is good, right? Okay. Making sure these transitions look nice and crisp before you move along to the next stone. Looks good. No haziness. It looks nice. Yep. Feel sharp. Feel sharp. Oh yeah. That's about the hardest way ever could have done that. A little bit of haziness right there in that heel. See if we can get it straightened up a little. The rest of that looks nice. Okay. Move on to our 800 stone. This is really polishing at this point. Really light pressure. Making that look nice. That's the thing. You have to get a lot of these things out of your blade before you go to the next stage. That feels really good. That looks nice. Nice smooth strokes from that 800 stone. Make it look good. Very nice. Alright, we'll go ahead and put the diamond strap on there. Ooh, that looks nice. Hit it just a little bit on the edge. We are almost done here. Wow, that feels nice. Okay. That's what we got. Just as a test. Oh yeah. Super sharp. Okay. And we'll get all this cleaned up. Part of the process being we got to put it back to decent shape before we give it back to the customer. The most I ever been cut trying to do this process right here. Get this tape off and cleaning this blade. Because of course the very sharpest edge you're going to find is right after a nice sharpening and stropping, right? So it does make sense. When I'm trying to clean this blade up with a sponge, that I end up cutting myself. So let's see. Clean cloth. Put our KPL on there. And of course I went way too heavy. Clean off all that tape gook. That looks really nice. Really good, really good. Happy, happy. Make sure we protected all of this. Wipe all of that off. Clean it up real nice. This knife has been well loved, well used, and taken care of. Probably one of the smoothest combat Trodons I ever felt. Let's see. Get us a sheet of plain paper. Plain as you can get it. Oh. Wow, that's sharp. Front edge is sharp. Yeah. Yep. Nice. Should be a happy customer. All right. Thank you all for watching. If you watched all the way to the end here, I appreciate it. Like and subscribe for more content. If you like what I'm doing here, just continue to watching more videos. Have a great day. And as always, God bless.